Jumpin In with the Wine Cellar, stockist of the largest range of wines, beers, spirits and cocktails on the island.
Hello.
Good evening.
And welcome. And yes, indeed, it is that time again. Your favourite time of the week, our favourite time of the week, everyone's favourite time of the week. Saturday night, 9 o'clock here on Manx Radio, which can only mean one thing. Jumping in, the best in modern and contemporary jazz with myself, H.
And me, Chris. Yes, hello and welcome to this week's show. In a week of cuts being cut, and power cuts on the cards. Yes, it's political conference season. Any idea what the correct collective noun is for a collection of conservatives?
Bore.
Somebody suggested Eton mess. There were other suggestions, but most, unfortunately, were not broadcastable. Yes, it's all fresh faces and U-turns, but not here on Jumping In, where we're straight ahead, blue and swinging. Oh, come to think of it, no, perhaps not. So, H, what has been the right shade of blue for you this week, or have you been deafened by the Conference of the Birds?
That'd be a good track to play, wouldn't it? The second of the trios, Ocean, from Charles Lloyd. Very nice it is too, very contemplative and, well, yeah, typical Charles Lloyd, really good, still on song. A bit of live, Lie and Die, really nice after that sad death of Jamie Branch. I thought we'd have a little taster of that. And there's a new one out, a relatively new, from Keith Jarrett, Bordeaux concert. We'll have a sample.
Actually, mentioning it was Dave Holland's birthday last week. Happy 76 to him. We had him on the show recently, of course. And for me, well, we start small. We are opinionated, for a change. We wallow in the weeds. And to get started, more politics. Here's Battleground. That was Battleground, the opening movement of award-winning composer, lecturer, pianist and band leader of the Iowa Jazz Composers Orchestra, Mike Conrad. After accepting his job as assistant professor of jazz studies at the University of Northern Iowa, Mike's return to his home state inspired him to write a suite for his new 17-piece band, and in fact looking back to one of his main inspirations, the Duke, and he says with state history was the starting point for writing this, and the battleground in question refers not to a straight-out fight, but the fact that Iowa is the first caucus state in the US presidential elections. Mike also wanted to highlight the fact that New York isn't the only state with talented musicians, as all the band are composers in their own right, and hopefully we'll hear more from them in the future. And in that track we heard Chris Mertz soloing on soprano, and he was doing battle with Dave Rezek on trumpet. The album's called Mike Conrad's Fertile Soil and came out toward the end of last year.
There's no euphemisms in that one, hopefully. One would think. Good old Mike. Great sounding stuff, though. I enjoyed that very, very muchly. We heard a little bit, obviously, the very sad news about Jamie Branch, the trumpeter, maverick, perhaps you could call it. Great character, force of nature, whatever. Never got to see her live, sadly, but well respected in jazz circles. And yeah, I was hoping I might see her at some stage, but clearly not now. We played a little track in memory of her passing a week or two back, and then when I was down in London, not surprisingly, there were her albums out and about, and this one was on display when I dropped into that little home from home, Ray's Jazz in foils on Charing Cross Road, Fly or Die Live, and been enjoying a couple of tracks from that one. Have a listen to this one, Lesterlude. recorded live. Moods in Zurich, Switzerland in 2020. Jamie Branch, Fly or Die live. Jamie on a trumpet there, some vocals as well in various places, and also Vibraslap. Used to love the Vibraslap, the one where you whack it and it goes. Wonderful stuff. Lester St. Louis has a great name on cello, vocals, and I rather like this tiny cymbal. Tiny cymbal just goes bing, presumably. Jason Ajmian on bass, vocal, and Egg Shakers. I love Egg Shakers, lovely. Chad Taylor drums and Mbira as well. And Lester Lose, that one double album on the IOC label, with really highlighting the breadth, I think, of Jamie Branch's music. Some accessible, some perhaps a little bit harder to work out. Some a bit of vocals again, which people either love or hate. I'm not normally a great fan, but it's one that's worth, you can either dip into or sit and listen through the whole thing. And never less than challenging, interesting, entertaining and thoughtful music from Jamie Branch. Be sadly missed without a doubt, but I'm glad to give that another spin as well.
Indeed, and in fact many interesting collaborations you'll find her on as well. Last year we tried to get across to Cafe Oto to catch a set with her, but unfortunately couldn't fit it in, travel across London being what it is. Now, a musician that we followed actually pretty much from the start of her career, with her own big band and small groups, notably Dinosaur, and in 2019 with her namesake for us album, Stepping Back, Jumpin In. Yes, it's trumpeter Laura Jurd with a new project and a new album, the Big Friendly album. Here's Little Opener. Typically quirky, yet at the same time funky track from trumpeter Laura Jurd. How long ago do you think it was when we saw her when she was starting
At
out?
Southport.
Yeah, how long do you think that was?
Oh, Lordy. I'd imagine maybe about 15 years.
Well, 2012, 2014. 2014 was when she brought the Chaos Orchestra out, her first big band, which actually reminds me in some ways, as does this music. It's quirky in a style of Django Bates to an extent, in the way that he used to take you down round corners and down little alleys you weren't expecting to go on. But that, from her new Big Friendly album, was the little opener. And as you might note, some folk sensibilities filtered through a jazz cornet and reflecting Laura's Scottish heritage. Indeed, a totally new band, save for Corrie Dick on the drums. He's the only one coming across from Dinosaur, and the new band features Martin Lee Thompson on euphonium, Danielle Price on tuba, Alex Haynes on guitar, Ruth Goller on bass, and on that track we heard a guest of a Norwegian avant folk accordionist Frude Haiti. And of course, the band leader and composer, Laura Jurd, on cornet plus acoustic and electric pianos. The Big Friendly album came out just 2 weeks ago and is definitely worth a listen.
It certainly is, and you are listening, in the meantime, to Jumpin' In, the best in modern and contemporary jazz with Chris and myself, H. I don't think you can call Charles Lloyd quirky. You can certainly call him super talented, long-lived, and still at the top of his game. Currently releasing a trio of trios, is how he announced it earlier in the year. The first one came out at the beginning of the year, I think, Chapel. Lloyd with guitarist Bill Frisell and bassist Thomas Morgan, which we featured once and twice in the programme. The second one, just out, or not long out, Ocean, with guitarist Anthony Wilson and the pianist Gerald Clayton. And then I think next month it is, or certainly before the end of the year, the third of the trio of trios, Sacred, which I'm looking forward to very much, guitarist Julian Large and Zakir Hussain on tabla and percussion. Something to look forward to before Christmas, it has to be said. In the meantime, I had this on repeat last night as I was having my birthday macaroni. Charles on alto and tenor sax and flute on strums, Gerald Clayton piano, Anthony Wilson guitar. This is Trio Ocean, and we'll hear Hagar of the Inuits.
Jumpin In, delivered to your door by the wine cellar, Douglas.
Lovely stuff. That's a pianist I discovered a few years ago. Now one of the staples as a house pianist for Positone record label. In fact, it was finding him and buying it myself that got me to write to them. And very kindly, they've been sending newer albums, including the new Verdant Valley, which just came out this year. And we'll undoubtedly play that a little bit later on. But that's Art Hirahara going back to his 2018 release Sunward Brown, and the track was Points of View, with his quartet, Linda Mahan O on bass, Rudy Royston on the drums and Donny McCaslin on sax. And he's kept the same quartet now for quite a number of years and releases, and it shows in the comfortable and intimate familiarity of the players. And the last two quartet recordings have had a change of bass player, however, to the fantastic Boris Kozolov, which just shows how much demand the equally fabulous Linda Mahan O is in. And if you enjoyed this, pick up any of Art's recordings. You really won't be disappointed.
No, amen to that. Must admit, haven't got that one. I've listened to another one here, either on the show or played at home, which I thoroughly enjoyed. But I think I prefer that one even more. Really, very fine indeed. Before that, we heard the second of the trio of trios, Charles Lloyd, Ocean. And like I said, a Sacred, I think, to come out next month or December, one of the two, before the end of the year in any case. But this, the second of this trio of trios, with Gerald Clayton and on the guitar, Anthony Wilson on bass, and Charles himself, of course, on alto and tenor saxes, and also on alto flute. Have been described by John Fordham, I think, in The Guardian, as a rich mix from a master enchanter, and who am I to disagree with that? It really is classic Lloyd. It's sort of spiritual, it's contemplative, it's thoughtful, it's dreamy at times, got a hippie-esque, lots of sort of dark sounds, some nice sort of occasionally sort of swinging, sometimes quite mournful, that deep sound of the sax coming in and out from time to time, sort of weaving in and out of the music, where it all seems a real very organic feel about the whole thing, nothing ever jagged or harsh particularly, all very mellifluous, but again, the sort of music that demands your attention. And I think I had it on repeat for about 3 albums worth last night as I was enjoying supper, as I say, and a glass of wine. Check it out. It's on Blue Note, too easy enough to get anywhere you fancy. And like I said, the one I might be looking, who knows, but I really like the look of the lineup of the last one, Sacred, with Zaki Hussain, hopefully mostly on tabla. He's just listed as being on percussion. And Julian Large on guitar, I think, yes. Tabla, guitar and sax. Sounds like a fine mix to me.
This is Jane Ara Bloom, and you're listening to Jumpin' In with Chris and H on Manx Radio.
I had to work hard with that album to get it to work. I dug it off, blew the dust off, but clearly there's some dust still left on the CD getting that one to work. I thought a little sample, yes, of it. It's a lovely little album, actually. Kenny Wheeler with Claudio Fazzoli on the sax and JF Jenny Clark on the bass came out years ago, thinking about 1990 on a Spanish or an Italian label, an album called Land, and that track was called Kitsch, or at least when I could get it to play, I could. Before that, the latest from Keith Jarrett, sadly no longer is with us, but has retired from performing. Great shame, but that was a concert in Bordeaux, which is called just Bordeaux Concert, of course. One of his solo renditions, and again at the freer side of things, one of these ones where he sat down at the piano and I think just freely improvised various sections, and that was just called Part 5.
Well, that's about it for this week's show. Sadly, don't forget, we're back on our regular Saturday slot now, and of course, available online to listen when you please. We just got down to fit in a track from a new Australian group called Shattered Circuits. Well, I say new, but Hike is in fact their second album. Describing themselves, the band say, "We make music with instruments." Can't argue with that. They are Tom Andrews on sax, Tom Urquhart on keyboards, Amanda Jenkins on bass, Brendan Paul on the bass. Here's Undergrowth. See you next week.
Thanks to our friends at the Wine Cellar. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye for now. Get yourself a glass.